Good evening and welcome to News Geelong on this cooler Wednesday autumn evening. Tonight we feature the 57th annual Highland Gathering, Geelong, held out at Deakin University last Sunday on a very successful day as people from all over Australia visited the gathering. From the sports arena, Alex Tigani reports on the first day of the Geelong Cricket Association Division 1 final home and away match between Geelong West and South Barwon, as 6 teams vie for the vital 6th position on the ladder going into the finals. And we speak with losing skip from the Torquay Bowls Club rink that went down to Premiership favourites Lara in the second semi-final of the Geelong Bowls region last Saturday. Weather-wise, we will bring you the official Bureau of Meteorology forecast expected for Geelong and the Surf Coast over the coming couple of days. Bit of weather change coming our way. Ethiopia is a nation of 5 million orphans who desperately need your help. As Ian Nichols speaks with Jeff Hucker, founder of Beyond the Orphanage.
Well, here at News Geelong we cover all kinds of stories, but this is a bit special. It's about a man called Jeff Hucker. He's an airline pilot, he lives in Torquay, and he's been doing amazing things for people underprivileged in Ethiopia. We think his story is worth telling.
Yeah, we're a foster care kinship care model in Ethiopia. We work with the highest risk children in Ethiopia. It's a foster care kinship care model, as I said. We take children normally from the street that are in very, very vulnerable, dangerous situations, and we work with them for years and years and years, regardless of their race, their religion, their physical or mental challenges. And at the end of the program, they're an independent adult. When I say independent, they have a degree, a vocation or a diploma, and then we put them in job placement. Very intensive program, quite different from a normal orphanage model. We work with the community, we work with the government, all together to help this child who's found themselves in a very vulnerable situation through no fault of their own, to not only survive but to have the support and love that every child deserves, and at the end of that to be an independent adult.
Now, it started out on a much smaller scale. Today you're known as Beyond the Orphanage, and it's almost of an international recognition now. But in the early days when you were flying backwards and forwards, it must have been heartbreaking for you to see what was happening there.
Absolutely. I first went to Ethiopia over 10 years ago. I was very interested in Ethiopia as a child. Those wonderful stories we had of Queen Sheba and King Solomon and King Solomon's mine, all those wonderful things. The pictures we saw in the 80s, those awful pictures of the famine. So I was very interested in Ethiopia, and I went there and I saw a country very beautiful, but side by side with this enormous poverty and despair with the children. And being a father, seeing these children being on the streets, very vulnerable to situations, it really touched me. So I then started the journey.
Now, I might point out we're in very windy Torquay because Jeff is a Torquay resident, an airline pilot by occupation, but you've taken on an enormous task. You're described as the orphans champion.
Well, I don't know about that. Torquay, of course, is my home. I love it. A beautiful place to be. A long way from Ethiopia. We travel about 4 times a year. And why I am the leader of the organisation, there's many people that help us. There's people in Torquay. My wonderful wife-to-be, Kate, is a great supporter. We have a great amount of volunteers in Australia and indeed overseas that all help us to help these children. The majority of our children have been affected in some way in AIDS. The majority have lost their parents due to HIV/AIDS, and the majority of the children nurse their parents through the last stages of life, which is a horrific thing to do. So in the Beyond the Orphanage program, we not only deal with the physical, also the psychological. We do a lot of work with the counselling of the children. We have specialist counsellors in every area, and also group counselling, group sessions to help that child with the challenges they face due to those traumas they've been through.
Talking with Jeff Hucker from Beyond the Orphanage, this is Ian Nichols for News Geelong.
Now in its 65th year, Red Cross Calling is a campaign that happens every March of each year. Meryl Friend has the story.
Red Cross started in 1914 here in Geelong, so that means they're celebrating their 100th anniversary. And of course, March is always Red Cross Calling Month for all the wonderful services that the Red Cross provide, including things like trauma teddies and all the support for the community. Put your hand in your pocket and help them raise, hopefully, $100,000. The Telecross program, could you tell us a bit about it?
Sure, it's a free call daily for isolated elderly generally in the Geelong region and across Australia. It's basically it provides peace of mind for elderly people
with you, aren't we? Might as
with
well.
mobility issues, people living alone, and it basically provides them with the peace of mind to continue to live at home.
Yeah. So that would require quite a bit of volunteer assistance, I'd imagine?
Absolutely. We've got around 33 volunteers at present in the Geelong region making calls 365 days a year. So we make well over 200 calls a week for the Geelong region. Nationally, we make about 5,000 calls a day.
So if there was anybody in the community that were thinking that that would be a service that they would require or could utilise, how would they go about finding out about that?
Sure. It's a self-referral system, so if you've got friends and family that have concern for loved ones, it's just a matter of contacting the Red Cross in your local region, and it's a simple interview and self-referral, and you'll get put on the call list straight away.
And the work couldn't continue without Red Cross calling, funding all the services we have in Geelong and throughout Victoria and throughout Australia as well.
So what's the date?
The date of the actual Red Cross calling, we have different dates depending on each person who's doing a collection. So the collections all start in March, so right throughout March we stick to that. So there's not a particular day that we can actually mention.
Yeah. And that is across the board. There'll be people knocking on household doors and lots of other schools and community groups helping out as well?
That's right. It's always right through March, so that's traditionally March calling. Over the years, Red Cross calling started in Geelong in 1958, so it's been going for a long, long time. So over the years, it's an average of about $100,000 over the last 10 years, so it's worthwhile and very important for Red Cross to continue their work.
Now, Mark was telling us about the Telecross, but of course there's so many other vital services that Red Cross provide.
There certainly is, and in Geelong itself we have Good Start Breakfast Club through the schools. We have Community Visitor Scheme, visiting elderly residents in nursing homes.
I just saw one of those gorgeous little trauma teddies too.
Yes, how could I forget Trauma Teddy? Trauma Teddy is wonderful, and it's given out to many doctor surgeries, dentists, the children's hospitals, the emergency wards, anywhere where a child might be traumatised. So it's a big program.
And there are a band of knitters that come in here each week to provide these?
There is a band of knitters on a Wednesday, and they don't only knit, they also sew up this specialised filling that goes into them, and they also sew on labels. And their stocks come from all right throughout Victoria. They get little flat teddy bears sent and ready to be put together.
From the Red Cross headquarters in Mercer Street, Meryl Friend, News Geelong.
Thank you, Meryl. It's also interesting to note that 2014 Australian Red Cross also celebrates 100 years of people helping people. So get involved and make a difference. This is News Geelong as we go to a break. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook daily, and also watch out for your favourite News Geelong segments on YouTube each week. We will return after this.